For decades, Detroit has been the center of the automotive industry and social activism, but it's slowly becoming a hotbed for its diverse business context, urban innovation, and incomparable free enterprise. Detroit impacts the world, and it's safe to say that Detroit inspires everybody. But what I want to know is what drives the people who are driving the city. The influencer sessions serve as a vehicle to unpack the lives of influential figures in the city of Detroit. You will get a chance to see the world through the eyes of those who are actively participating in its revival. I'm Jesse Cole, and you're watching the Influencer Sessions. Tegest Kebede is the founder of Gifting Dreamers, a nonprofit organization that supports and empowers Metro Detroit youth who have lost a parent to illness or violence. Their programming includes life skills training, financial literacy, leadership development, and emotional health. When she's not influencing the next generation, Tegest is lending her time to other nonprofits and making sure her sons know that they are her ultimate priority. Tell us how your organization is influencing Detroit.
Gifting Dreamers is influencing Detroit because it is helping kids who have come through a tragedy, like our kids are ones who have lost their parents, one of their parents to crime, violence, or illness in the city of Detroit. And it helps them to, one, overcome that tragedy, and it's really hard to do, and we do that through mentoring, but then to figure out what's next, to figure out where do I go from here, what do I do? Yes, this happened in my life, but it doesn't have to change my life for the worse. It can actually change my life for the better and make you stronger. So Gifting Dreamers is there to give you the inspiration and empower you to go back to before the tragedy happened to, you know, living your best life.
Good stuff. Now, part of your mission and your vision is to build strong, confident leaders, right? So how does that how do you associate that with dreaming?
I associate that with dreaming because I feel that if you are confident in yourself, that you can do anything. If you believe that you can do anything, what is in your heart will come forth everything you do. That means your schoolwork, that means any type of special, it comes through even in your friends, because I feel when kids are confident and proud about themselves, they don't hang with the slackers, they don't hang with the druggy kids, they don't do that kind of thing, because they feel better about themselves and they feel that I have some value. So I'm going to hang with other people that have value. So I feel that that's how being productive and positive ties into you dreaming.
Good stuff. Now, you just hosted a weekend for young girls, right? An empowerment weekend for young girls. Tell us more about that and how you've seen the transformation in those young girls over those couple of days.
It was an amazing 12 hours. For 12 straight hours, there was not a moment of sleep. There was not a moment of rest. It was amazing. We had 35 girls, and every hour we had something new we were doing. We inspired them with speakers. We pampered them with massages and facials and things of that nature. We encouraged them to think. We asked them when they first came in, what do you think of this? And then we asked them at the end, and it was a complete night and day. Some of the answers at first were, you know, my mom said that this would be good for me. And then at the end was like, this was so amazing. I wish I could have brought some friends, you know, like, can we do this again next weekend, you know? And they were just like, wow, it opened my mind to every possibility that I never thought that were possibilities for me. Or even some of the kids that had dreams of certain things, they didn't know that those were actual careers, or that they could actually do them. Just something that they liked doing in their idle time was something that could possibly make them money, or it does make a lot of other people money. So, you know, like makeup artists, they thought, oh, well, you work at the mall, but they didn't think about somebody does Oprah's makeup, somebody does, you know, makeup on sets of movies, and they make big money and they do great work. So
good stuff. What are some of the challenges or some of the setbacks you see from the young people that are in your program as you're getting them to learn how to dream, how to become the better versions of themselves? What are some of those obstacles that they have to overcome in order to even realize that there's something bigger than what they've experienced up until that point?
Some of the obstacles I would say are believing in themselves. Unfortunately, a lot of the kids at home are not hearing you're wonderful, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you can do anything. And so when a lot of them come into the program, they have that doubt. They feel like they're good for nothing, or that, you know, they've messed up already, like I already get bad grades, I'm already falling behind. And we stand on, we've all been there, we've all done something. If it was one mistake and you're out, we'd all be dead, you know. So we just try to encourage them, you know, you are your own unique person. God has placed you here for a reason. You know, he does not make any mistakes. And, you know, and the reason that you've been given to these parents, they were for a reason as well. And what do you do with that now? You know, what can you do with that? So encouraging them to be the best that they can be, to open up their word every day. We hand out devotionals, and to encourage them just for a few minutes, just read this real quick each day. And, you know, look at yourself in the mirror and say, even if somebody else isn't telling it to you, say it to yourself. I'm beautiful. I'm wonderful. I'm perfectly made by Jesus Christ, you know, and doing those types of things. And those are showing day by day. It's an encouragement for the kids that have come in and had very, very low self-esteem, and now are doing amazing things. Grades are improving, behavior at home is improving, you know, and they're teaching their parents how to do these things. Hey, Ma, you know, I love you. And then the mother is saying, I love you back, you know, so.
Model it for the parents. So would you say that dreams are something that we have to pursue, or is it something that's already on the inside of us that we have to actualize?
I believe that it's already on the inside of you and you have to actualize. I believe that God gives everyone a dream and a purpose. No one is here without a purpose and without a reason. And it's, do we do it? And I say to the kids all the time, if you're sitting alone by yourself for 30 minutes, what do you do? If you're humming, or if you're doodling, you know, drawing, if you're, you know, making faces in the mirror, whatever it is, that if you start looking at that talent that you have when you're doing it and nobody else is paying attention, more than likely a dream will come out of that. You know, like there's some kids that no matter what, whenever they're sitting in class, they're sitting there doodling. And I'm like, you should look into what you can do with that. And it's not just drawing comics. You could be a photolist, you know, a journalist. You can be, a lot of things come from just because you like to take pictures, or you like to draw pictures, or you like to design. All those things can come out of just because you like doodling.
Right.
So,
Now, many of our young people, I'm pretty sure the ones that you work with that are in your program, they've had challenging backgrounds, right? Growing up in the inner city and challenging neighborhoods, walking past abandoned houses and crack houses, and maybe they have broken families, or they don't have somebody in their household that can help them nurture their dream, right? So when you know that, when you know the background of one of your students that are in your program, and it matches what I just described, how do you as a mentor bring that young person in? Because they haven't been around positivity, right? So now they're coming into positivity. They don't know how to receive it from. So how do you draw them in?
I just draw them in by just being open and honest with them and just loving them. I'll never forget, there was a boy who came to our class, one of the first classes, and he said to me, he's a former foster kid, and he was just like, how much are you getting paid for me? And I said, excuse me, what are you talking about? And he said, how much are you getting paid to be with me? And I said, I'm not getting paid anything, honey. I said, I'm here because I love you. And do you know, 5 weeks later, he came back to me and said, you know what? I love you too. And when he gave me a hug, and he was like, nobody ever hugs me. And then that made me say, you know what? Every class we're going to start giving hugs. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really important, you know, just to feel that somebody cares about you. And I don't think that a lot of times the parents are doing it intentionally. Like, oh, I'm not going to tell you I love you, or I'm not going to give you a hug. I just don't think it's been taught. It's not been taught in them. And, you know, unfortunately, as parents, and I tell the kids, don't feel angry at your parents because they're not doing something. You have to sometimes teach your parents, if they don't know something, how to do something, and do it in a loving way. And I feel that that is just something that just didn't happen for them, so then they don't do it, you know. And you can only do what you know, you know. So I try to instill that in the kids as well. You know, sometimes as kids, we got to teach our parents some things, you know, and we got to do it in a loving, caring manner.
Respectful manner, So let's talk about your childhood. Who was Tegest at 10 years old?
At 10 years old, I was a future Miss America. I was always a dreamer. I remember writing down in a journal at 15 that this is what I was going to do with myself. And of course, you know, I've always journaled. I've journaled since I was probably about 12 years old. And it's looking back, I recently found that journal maybe 4 years ago. And I was like, you know what? I was talking to myself and didn't even know I was talking to myself. And this has always been a dream of mine. I need to jump out there and finally do this dream. It's been on my heart for a long time, and I just kept ignoring it. So I would say at the age of 10, I was a dreamer even then. I was as most of my family says, living in a Disney world, you know. But I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's nothing wrong with living in fantasy that you can see that can become a reality. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about, you know, crazy fantasy, but if you can dream something that is outside of the realm of where you're at, what's wrong with that?
Right,
You know, that's how we all make it.
Right, right. So what would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Believe in yourself. Have confidence. And everybody is not going to like you. You cannot please everyone, and you won't please everyone. To just really just believe in yourself. You know, don't shy away or don't sit back because you say something that everyone doesn't agree with. Because even when I thought I was going to started doing Gifting Dreamers, people were just like, yeah, okay, like that's going to really help, you know, or like that's going to really make a difference in the city of Detroit. Okay, yeah, we may not save and help everyone, but if we save 5 or 10 people, it was worth it, you know. So that's what I would tell my 20-year-old self, to just, you know, believe in yourself. Don't go with the crowd, go against the grain. Go with what's in your spirit, what is put there by God, and move forward.
You know, I believe that we were created to lead in a specific area of gifting. We're talking about gifts. When we talk about leadership, people say, you know, somebody has to be the leader, somebody has to be the follower. But I believe, and I subscribe to the thought that if you produce in the area that God has given you to produce, the right people will come to your tree and eat off of your tree, right? And that's what it seems like is happening with you. You know, when you started Gifting Dreamers, you had a lot of, I don't want to say backlash and naysayers, right? But you kept pushing, and the right kids that are supposed to be in Gifting Dreamers are a part of your organization. How do you feel about that?
Some have not been from east side to west side or west side to east side, and it's a difference of a 10-mile radius. But yet, I feel like I can talk all day about what you can see and what you can do, but if you're looking across the street at that abandoned house and you're looking down the street at the burnt up house, it's, yeah, these are words. She's talking and these are words. And so I thought to myself, you know, there's so many things that you see in picture books, or you hear about the Washington monuments, or you hear about the Grand Canyon. And why shouldn't we start taking some kids across America and start seeing these things? I think that will for sure open up your mind to see what is available and what is out there in the world. If you can just even see a piece of it, you don't have to see the whole thing, but if you can see something past out what's outside your door, that can tell you that, wow, there is a life out here, there is a world, and maybe it's for me.
And that's one thing that kind of saved me. You know, I had a pretty good background, had both my parents in the home, but there were still some gaps there, right? One thing that helped me and saved me was having access to stuff that was outside of my community. I was able to see Six Flags over Georgia. I was able to see different states when traveling around. That let me know that the world was bigger than my street. It was bigger than my city, and it was even bigger than what I even dreamed on the inside of my head, right? So that's one reason why I went to college, and you know, I wanted to travel around because I wanted to have those experiences. So when I have children, I can tell them this is real. And when I get to speak to young people, you know, like in your program and other programs, I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from, like, this is what I've had access to. And you have access to the same thing.
Yes, you do.
Good stuff. So what would you say to a young person who, they know they have a gift, but they're in an environment where it's not very nurturing, and they're looking to get in an environment where there are young people like them? What are some action steps they can take right now to start searching out different resources?
I would say Gifting Dreamers is one of them. I mean, because we offer, you know, and then even if we're not the organization for you, we offer a variety of different organizations that we can then send you to or tie you into to get the resources and help that you need. But also to pray. Prayer is one of the best things to ask the Lord where you should be and what you should be doing. And then after that, I do suggest to the kids, you know, trying to connect with somebody at school, not necessarily the students, but talk to a counselor, talk to a teacher. You know, I think there's still a lot of good teachers that are in our school systems. You know, yes, they're overloaded and they're tired, but they're still there for a reason. So I tell them to talk to their teacher for suggestions on like events that are going on in their community that they can go and see and do, watching the news to find out what's going on. Because sometimes, even though you are on your street, there might be something at the corner that you can go and see and do, or you can get to, or that you can find out about. So just keeping your mind and your options open and not just thinking about the negative. You know, get up every day and say, hey, today's going to be a new day. It's going to be better. And I'm going to do something to make it better.
Good stuff. Thank you for being on my show. I
Thank you
appreciate
for having me.
And thank you for watching the Influencer Sessions. Remember that what you want to become, it really depends on your willingness to become it. Have a great day.